Hi everyone, this is Selvi. This topic is related to Sprint Backlog. Before getting into this episode, I have a request for you all. If you have not listened to what is Product Backlog, the previous episode, kindly listen to that because it is a kind of continuation of what is Product Backlog. So it will be really helpful if you listen to the Product Backlog related episode. Okay. In a nutshell, Product Backlog is a list of prioritized work items. Then what is Sprint Backlog? Why there are two backlogs? Sprint Backlog is a subset of Product Backlog. Product Backlog is the master backlog, where Sprint Backlog is the subset of Product Backlog. Okay, so why are we creating the Sprint Backlog and what is this purpose and on what basis this subset will be created? All these questions will be coming to us. So let's try to understand what is this with the help of a simple example. Let me start the example in continuation with the product backlog related example. So product backlog, we have already discussed about a fruit basket at the home. So we will try to understand about the sprint backlog concept from the same example. So now we have a fruit basket at the table. I actually want to prepare my lunch bag with some fruits so that I can carry it and I can have it at my break time after the lunch or during the lunch. So it's like during the lunch break, I will be definitely having these fruits. So for that, from the fruit basket, which is the complete list, from that I will be picking up only few fruits and putting it in my lunch bag. On certain criteria I will be picking, like one is today I want to have apple because yesterday I already had orange, so I want to have apple. And the next thing is I don't want to have too many apples because my capacity is to eat only one apple at the lunchtime, so I cannot have more, so I will ensure that also. And based on the ready condition, like which is already ready to eat, which is completely ripened and ready to eat, that also I will be picking it up. So ready to eat is one condition, and my capacity, I cannot have too many, so accordingly I will prepare the fruits from the basket. And third one is based on my priority, like yesterday I have a kind of like wish list which is also turning to be a priority for me, so I will pick the fruit according to that. So based on these conditions, I will be preparing my lunch bag with these fruits from the whole fruit basket. Now I am taking this lunch bag to my lunch table on the same day. So this lunch bag's lifetime or lunch bag's presence is really important during the lunch time. It is a time boxed event. Like during the lunch time, if I'm having these fruits, it's well and good. If I'm not having, then it will still be on the lunch bag, and after going to home, it will go back to my fruit basket. Because I will not be having fruits at any other intervals, only during the lunch interval, because my goal when I was preparing this lunch bag itself is having these fruits during my lunch time. So if I'm missing the lunch time without eating these fruits, then it is gone. So I will keep in the same lunch bag and take it back to my fruit basket once I reach home. So its lifetime is during only that lunch break, right? Now, If I am completely taking the fruit, I have eaten that fruit, then it is a different situation. There is one minus from my product backlog, which is my fruit basket, which is done, which is completed. Like out of 10 apples, one is completely eaten by Selvi, if I have eaten. If not, it will go back to the fruit basket. Now let's come to the sprint backlog in our software development process. Sprint backlog is a subset of the product backlog. Lunch bag from the fruit basket. Fruit basket has n number of items, n number of fruits, but I am preparing the lunch bag, which is a subset of the fruit basket. The subset is prepared in different conditions. What are those conditions? Based on the priority. What are the work items that need to be delivered immediately or that are required to be implemented for the upcoming release? Those items will be picked. Can all the priority items be picked? No. It should also meet definition of ready checklist. We have already covered in one of the episode what is definition of ready. So when it is meeting the definition of ready checklist, those items can be picked for the sprint backlog. Only these two conditions. Anything that is high priority and definition of ready which is meeting can come to the sprint backlog? No. Because what is the capacity of the Scrum team? The development team's capacity is mandatory. If they don't have the capacity to work on those items, even though it is of high priority and definition of ready, we cannot pick everything. Same way, my priority to eat orange or apple is priority. Whether it is ready to eat, that is definition of ready. And third one is what is the capacity of me to have the fruits during the lunchtime. Is it 2 apples or 3 apples? Same way, priority of work items that should be implemented, definition of ready checklist, meeting the checklist, and third one is capacity of the Scrum team. Based on these things, sprint backlog will be created. Even though product backlog has n number of items with high priority, meeting the definition of ready checklist, all the items cannot be coming to the sprint backlog. Reason is the Scrum team's capacity is completely required. Whether they have sufficient bandwidth to pick up these items and commit on those items and implement those functionalities. Do they have that much of bandwidth? If they have, and if the capacity is available and the priority is also high and the definition of ready checklist also met, then these are work items from the product backlog will be moved to the sprint backlog. Above all these things, sprint backlog is also having a goal. Like how we have for product backlog, it is always aligned to a vision. Similarly, every time when we create a sprint backlog, it also has a goal to achieve. So all the work items that are coming inside the sprint backlog should align to that goal. Like eating 2 apples and 1 orange is the goal. So I will ensure I am putting 2 apples and 1 orange which aligns with the goal. Similarly, the sprint backlog items also align with the goal. Now, as the lunch bag lifetime is only applicable during the lunchtime because I will not be having fruits earlier or beyond that lunch break. So it is always that lunch break is the time period. Similar to that, sprint backlog is also available only during the life cycle of the sprint, which means on the start day of the sprint backlog gets created and the last day of the sprint it's get closed. When I say closed, even though the work items inside the sprint backlog gets completed or not, which means whatever the status of the work item, it doesn't matter. When the sprint is getting over on the last day, that means the work items, either if they are completed, they will go to the product backlog as completed status, and if they are not completed, they will go to the product backlog as whatever the status wherever they are in. Like if I have completely taken the fruits, it is like in the product backlog, which is nothing but the fruit basket, it is like one apple has been completed. But whereas if I have not taken that apple, it will go back to that product backlog, that is a fruit basket, and it will be consumed on the next time in my lunch bag. Similarly, these work items which are going back to the product backlog, according to the priority and the demand and the availability, next time it may or may not be picked according to the need. So, in nutshell, Sprint Backlog is a subset of the Product Backlog. Sprint Backlog gets created on the first day of the sprint and gets completed on the last day of the sprint. When we say completed, even though the work items within the Sprint Backlog may or may not be completed, but still the Sprint Backlog's life cycle is done. Sprint Backlog always aligns with the sprint goal, and sprint backlog gets created based on the priority, meeting the definition of ready checklist, and the available capacity of the Scrum team. Sprint backlog is owned by the team, not by the product owner, whereas product backlog is owned by the product owner. But when it becomes a sprint backlog as a subset, it is owned by the team, and they will execute it and they will complete the functionality. And the lifetime of the sprint backlog is the same time length of the sprint. So this is all about sprint backlog. I think I have covered the details about the sprint backlog with the example. Hopefully you people would have understood completely what is sprint backlog and the relevant details. Thank you so much for listening. Happy learning and stay tuned.